Hello, and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick DrenZaria. This week, we're taking a look at the 2022 film The Batman.
Yeah. They have to differentiate it somehow. Just the Batman. It's not Batman.
I hope the next one's called The Batman Returns.
Oh my god.
Then if they do a prequel, they can name it The Batman Begins.
The Batman. Let's fuck with people even more. Okay. So it was first shown in the Lincoln Center on March 1st, 2022, before having its wide release March 4th, 2022. So it's the most recent movie we've done on this podcast.
Yep. And I think it's also one of the longest movies we've done.
It is the longest.
Yeah.
It is the longest. It is 4 minutes shy of being a 3-hour movie. It managed to beat Dark Knight Rises by 12 minutes.
Impressive.
Now, hopefully this podcast won't go on as long as that one, but who knows? So this cost $200 million and made $770 million, which currently makes it the 5th highest grossing film of 2022. Who knows, maybe Avatar will knock it down a few sprockets. But
if Avatar 2 becomes the newest highest grossing film, I'm going to be very upset.
Hey, it's the way of water, man. I don't know what the fuck. Oh my god. So the director of the Batman was Matt Reeves, and his other credits include Cloverfield.
Oh,
which I've mentioned on the podcast before, and I'm not a huge fan of that movie, to say the least. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
And War for the Planet of the Apes. And of those, I enjoy one of those movies. So,
yeah, I just opened up his filmography. I haven't watched a single other movie by him.
Oh, nice.
I see that he wrote Under Siege 2, though.
Oh, that's right, yeah. The fan favorite Steven Seagal movie, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. And one thing, I will give Matt Reeves this. I was reading a bit of the Wikipedia page and stuff. It does sound like he was very passionate about the character of Batman.
I think that definitely shows through, without getting into much detail. But you do get that vibe from him.
It sounds like this was a very personal project for him. And another thing I will say, he definitely focused the movie on Batman.
Which is different than most Batman movies.
Yeah, a lot of the other movies before this, they kind of made Batman a secondary character to the villains.
Yeah.
Which in some ways kind of makes sense, but I mean, it's a Batman movie, the focus should be on Batman.
Yeah.
And this one's clearly about Batman. Okay, so getting to the cast, and surprisingly, most of these people have not been on the podcast before.
I know we've had a few.
So we got Robert Pattinson, which the internet was in an uproar over that casting choice.
I remember when that got called. Everybody was like, "Hold on, we're getting the vampire from Twilight to play Batman."
Yeah, which I'll admit, when I first heard the casting choice, I was concerned. I mean, part of it was like, I was like, because I've seen some of his other movies, besides the Twilight movies. I only watched the Twilight movies just so I could laugh at the stupid parts. I don't enjoy them. And like, well, I saw him in like some other movies besides that, like The Lighthouse, for example. And I was thinking, okay, I could maybe see him as Batman, but not so much as Bruce Wayne. Which I kind of was proved right when I watched this movie.
Yeah. Again, without getting too far into it, I will say I think he's a very strong Batman, but a very odd Bruce Wayne.
In this, we also got Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
I know that she is one of our returning actresses.
Wait, what was she in?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that. That's right. Who'd she play in that?
I think her name was Toast the Knowing.
Okay, so yeah, she was in something else on this podcast. Okay. I know for a fact this guy wasn't. Paul Dano.
Yep, this is the first time we've had him.
Which I've seen him in other movies, and when I read about that casting choice, I was like, that's a weird choice to play the Riddler.
I think that was the internet's thing. They heard that Batman was being played by Robert Pattinson, and they heard the Riddler was being played by Paul Dano, and everyone got real worried for a while.
Because most of the other stuff I've seen Paul Dano in, he's usually just playing like a shy, awkward dude that doesn't talk much. Like, I think Paul Dano, and I'm thinking of like fucking Little Miss Sunshine. I'm not thinking like creepy Batman villain, just like
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright. He's in this.
Yep. Good old Felix Leiter.
That's a casting choice I can get behind, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a very good. He plays a very good Gordon.
John Turturro. He's in this as Falcone.
Can I mention something about that real quick?
Wow.
I hate how they say his name in this movie.
Why?
They just call him Falcone. They don't say Falcone.
Oh, do they? Oh shit! I didn't notice that. I'm used to them. I'm just used to them saying Falcone, so that's why. I guess I didn't notice that, but anyway. But I mean, I'm fine with John Turturro being in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
He's not like a favorite actor of mine, but when I see him in the cast of a movie, I'm like, oh, cool! It's the guy from The Big Lebowski and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Peter Sarsgaard. I should have wrote down who does he play in this? Damn it.
He plays Coulson, the district attorney.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, I remember now. I don't remember what else he's in, honestly.
He's in The Magnificent Seven, the highly esteemed Green Lantern film.
The Ryan Reynolds one.
Yep.
I've actually seen that. That is a terrible movie. It's the fact that the villain in that is just a giant swarm of what looks like CGI shit is just oh my god. At least Ryan Reynolds got to play Deadpool, so he redeemed himself after that. Oh, here's a returning cast member, Andy Serkis.
Yes.
Who he played Snoke, who is actually Goldmember. And apparently this isn't his first time working with the director, because he played Caesar in the Planet of the Apes reboots.
Oh, really? And in this movie, he's playing Alfred.
Yeah.
And I think he does a pretty good job with it.
Again, though, it's hard to screw up Alfred in these movies. I mean,
that's like the one solid thing in every Batman movie is a good Alfred.
Yeah, Batman v Superman had a good Alfred, even though
that's very
terrible.
true.
The Joel Schumacher ones, those weren't that great, but
yeah,
they had a good Alfred at least. If you screw up Alfred, I mean, I don't know how you'd be able to, honestly. And also a completely unrecognizable Colin Farrell.
Yes. Playing the Penguin.
Yeah, They really gave the makeup artists a job right there. I'm gonna say.
It's a very impressive makeup job.
We also have a returning composer,
We do?
Michael Giacchino. He did the music for Rogue One.
Oh!
Yep. So that's
Huh.
what, 2 Star Wars connections right there.
Yeah.
I wish there were better Star Wars connections. Harrison Ford as the Penguin.
Oh, that'd be a weird choice.
It would. If he was gonna play a Batman villain, I don't know who he would play, honestly.
Get him to play Bane. I think that'd be fun.
Bane! Oh my god. That wouldn't make any sense. I guess we can get to our initial thoughts. Now, when I first heard about this movie, I was like, oh my god, another Batman movie? Just like, I guess just part of it is there's just been so many Batman reboots we've had in such a short period of time. This movie came out 10 years after The Dark Knight Rises.
And in between then and now, we also had the DCEU's failed attempts.
All that lovely bullshit. Then we get this. I was so burnt out on Batman. I'm also just burnt out on superhero movies, honestly. Yeah. I'm so tired of the MCU and the DCU and all that. And I was hearing the casting choices. The casting choices, there were some of them I was like, okay, that's fine. But I wasn't, like, excited.
Yeah.
By anything. I saw one of the trailers. I was like, oh, this is the kind of movie they're doing now. The first time I saw the movie, I didn't really like it. I wasn't that excited about it. That and the copy I saw wasn't in very good quality. I didn't see it in theaters. It was like a pirated copy. A cam, I think. I think it was a cam, if I remember right.
The best way to watch any movie.
Yeah, and this is a long fucking movie, too. And I remember just watching it, and I was so pissed that so much of my day was already gone. Because it's like a 3-hour movie. I was willing to give it a second try, and which is, rewatched it for this podcast. That's, at the least, I was thinking, okay, the picture quality will be better, or the sound quality will be better than what I saw before. Now, before you kill me,
oh no. Oh no.
I will say it is better than the DCU Batman.
Okay, there's that at least.
But overall, I'm just kind of meh on this.
Huh.
There's stuff I like in it, but I for some reason, overall, it just doesn't fully work for me. But, like, at the same time, though, it's one of those movies, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, I can see why people like it and stuff, but and obviously, just by saying that, I know I've lost everybody here. No matter what I'm gonna say, people are gonna hate me for saying, "Oh, I didn't like it." As much, Again, there's things I like about it. I appreciate that this one tried to do something different. Although, like Yoda says, "Do or do not." There is no try.
So,
do you want to give your thoughts on it, or
yeah. So
I had a feeling this was gonna be one where you liked it and I didn't. But...
Yeah, so I actually ended up seeing this twice in theaters. Once on my own, then another time with my brothers.
So you've seen it 3 times.
I've seen it more than that, because I think I watched it, because we got it when it came out on Blu-ray. And then I watched it again, so I think it's 4 times is the amount of times that I've seen it. And I actually really like this Batman movie.
Okay. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm like...
But I just... There's a lot of reasons why I like it. I like the visual style of it, especially with Gotham, which we'll probably talk
Yes.
about more. I really like the score. That was actually one of my most listened to albums on Spotify this year.
Really?
Was the movie soundtrack. I do like Pattinson's performance as Batman. Like I mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of his Bruce Wayne. And I found the Riddler in this movie to be very interesting, just with how different it was than what we've seen in the past.
And another thing I was noticing, a lot of people, they complain about the other Batman movies that they don't have enough detective elements in them.
Oh, that is another thing. I do like the detective work in this one.
Which I can understand. Like, people who are, like, really super into, like, the comics and stuff, like, would probably be more into this than that. I mean, I've read a few Batman comics, but I'm not, like, an expert by any means, you know?
Yeah, and it also goes to kind of show Batman's intelligence a little bit more than some of the past entries. Because I mean, think back to like Batman and Robin. Think back to Batman and Robin when you can't name a single intelligent moment from Batman in that movie.
Wait, you're telling me that the Bat credit card wasn't an intelligent moment? But no, I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, and I'll agree. It looks good. Like, I think the cinematography is good. It has an interesting noir look.
Yeah, very much.
And I did like Pattinson as Batman. I'll agree with you on that. Which, that was like one of the things I was really worried about. And I watched the movie and I'm like, well, I didn't like this movie, but that was surprisingly not one of my complaints about it. As Bruce Wayne, again, I'll get into that. I'm not as big on his Bruce Wayne in this. Now, one thing that's interesting, when I first saw this, I think I did mention this to you at one point. I really did not like the depiction of the Riddler in this.
I think I remember that, yeah.
When I watched it the first time, I remembered thinking back to Jim Carrey's Riddler with nostalgia.
Two very different depictions.
Now, okay, rewatching it, I'm fine with the serial killer angle. That I was okay with, like, because I mean, the Riddler's kind of a. After thinking about it, the Riddler is kind of a one-note character sometimes, so you kind of need something to differentiate him. And some of the scenes of him like stalking and killing people I thought was creepy, but it was turning him into a 4chan user.
We'll get into that later.
Oh God,
that part was funny, but it was not meant to be funny. I don't think.
I thought it was incredibly stupid. Yeah. It was just a weird casting choice too. Like I can't think of any movie I've seen Paul Dano in where I was like, oh yeah, the Riddler. Or really just any Batman villain. I don't know. I guess if I was going to cast him as a Batman villain, I'd cast him as like the Mad Hatter or something, not the Riddler.
Oh, he'd actually be a very good Mad Hatter. So I guess my thoughts on the Riddler, it is a very interesting take with the whole serial killer angle. There's kind of 2 points throughout this especially where he feels more like Jigsaw, which was interesting. But overall, I actually did really like his depiction of the Riddler in this. He felt like an actual threat and not like, I'm going to mind control everyone with a TV helmet.
I will admit his performance did grow on me a bit on this second viewing. I still have problems with it, but part of it was also I was watching it on cam the first time, so I probably couldn't tell what was going on during parts. Because there are some scenes where he actually is unsettling.
Yeah.
Like, I think acting-wise, he's good, but it's just there's choices with the character that I'm like, come on. But, again, I'll get into that later. And the other this was trying to go for more of, like, a detective-type story and plot, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really find it to be much of a mystery, though, during, like, it, like... All it really did was, like, just, there's this guy killing people. Okay. I mean, it didn't really. I don't know. There were some parts of the movie I found a little hard to follow, I'll admit. I did kind of give up on writing notes towards the end. And look, there's movies with hard to follow plots that I like. I mean, The Big Sleep, Chinatown. There's ton. I don't understand the plots to most film noirs, if I'm being honest. But usually, I can find like dialogue and characters to latch onto, and I think that was my problem. Was just the dialogue didn't really like stand out to me much. I don't know if you have that problem. There was like maybe
I could definitely see that. Yeah, the dialogue wasn't really the strong suit of this movie.
I remember one line from this movie, and I wrote it down, and it wasn't even that great of a line either. So
There's one line I remember very much, and when we get to it, I'll make sure I say it. But
there's just there. It seemed like there were just a lot of characters who didn't need to be there.
I would agree with that. And once again,
It felt
I think
kind
I might
of
have said
unfocused
this
to me. Like I was just thinking, like it was a 3-hour movie, but like it seemed like it wasn't going for character development with those 3 hours. So I don't know.
So I think I said this in both the Batman Returns and the Dark Knight Rises podcast.
I know what you're gonna say.
Where this is another Batman movie where you could take out Catwoman and the plot wouldn't change all that much.
Especially in this one.
Yeah.
Especially in this one. Because in Batman Returns, okay, she does contribute to some of the plot points. And Dark Knight Rises, she has probably a little more to do with the plot in that one. But in this one, like, I'm just like, you literally could cut her out of this movie and it changes nothing.
This is jumping forward a bit in the, in the plot, but if you remove her, the only real contribution she has is forcing Batman to confront Falcone, but he was going to do that anyway by that point in the story. So you could just cut out all of Catwoman's scenes and it would still work just fine.
Exactly, yeah, there's like literally zero reason for her to be here. But I guess, I don't know, for some reason Batman movies, they feel the need to include at least 2 villains in it.
Yeah, well this one has more than that.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got Penguin, we've got the Riddler, we've got Catwoman, we've got a Joker cameo.
I forgot about the Joker cameo. Because you look at like Batman and Robin, you had what? You had Poison Ivy, you had Mr. Freeze, you had Bane. All in the same movie. It's hard for me to explain what doesn't work about the movie, but again, we'll get into that more, I guess. So you want to start with the recapping, or?
Yep. So the movie opens up on a point of view shot of some guy, later revealed to be the Riddler, just standing in the trees watching the current mayor of Gotham City.
Yeah, and this was kind of reminding me of Rear Window a little bit. There's a lot of shots. There's a lot of shots in this movie that felt like Rear Window or something, where it's just somebody watching through, the windows of like voyeur type stuff. Which I wouldn't be surprised if the guy that directed this was like, oh, I should like include some Alfred Hitchcock inspiration in here. And yeah, so this the mayor, he's watching a political debate on TV, and he answers the phone before getting killed by a guy in a weird costume,
which looked suspiciously like the Zodiac Killer's costume.
It does, yeah. Which that was, again, the Riddler was in this movie was inspired by the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Among other things. And I will admit, this is a good opening.
Yeah. It does a very good job of making the Riddler feel like a threat and also just feel very creepy.
It actually is a pretty creepy opening, I will admit. And then we get a voiceover monologue from Batman. Yeah, and then we get a scene of. I was noticing that a few times during this movie. I was just like, Batman's doing a monologue because he's Batman.
And he basically reveals that this is his second year of being Batman.
Okay. So it's not year one then.
No. Don't forget, as this monologue is going on, Something in the Way by Nirvana is playing the whole time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's like a Nirvana song, which I was reading about the production of this movie. Apparently that song inspired their depictions of both Batman and the Riddler in this, but we'll get to that a little more later. And he's saying something about fear being a tool, and yeah, this movie is starting off really dark and moody.
It is. So it's Halloween night, there's a bunch of people out committing crimes, and they start running away as soon as they see the bat signal.
And this is also the beginning of this movie. It's kind of suffering from the then we get a scene of syndrome.
Yeah. Because after we get this whole monologue, then it immediately cuts to the subway where a gang of people with their faces painted like skulls harassing an old man.
Are they the baddies?
And then Batman shows up.
Yeah, and then Batman shows up, which I was going to point out, one of the guys in this scene looks like a certain internet personality.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I remember seeing that. I was like, huh.
I'm not going to mention his name, obviously. He doesn't deserve it. And but yeah, I'm glad that you real.
I know the exact one.
Because it does look like him. And they're attacking a guy in a subway. Then Batman shows up and we get a fight scene.
We like immediately are shown that this Batman is very brutal because he throws a guy on the ground, punches him in the face multiple times, and then says he is vengeance.
Which that is another thing I will say. Batman's fighting in this is good.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, it's kind of hard to fuck that up, you know, unless you're Batman and Robin. And after this, Batman encounters police officers, including Commissioner Gordon,
who escort him to the crime scene of the recently murdered mayor.
And there's a note with a clue left on it and a cipher, so basically this is Zodiac with Batman in it.
Basically. And all the notes are filled with riddles that Batman has to solve.
Yeah, which I guess if you're gonna update Riddler for modern times, then okay, make him Jack the Ripper, why not? That is another positive I will say. In the movie's favor. The notes, I like the way the notes are like written and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they look like something a deranged madman wrote. And
yeah. And a 4chan user would write, apparently.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And yeah, Something in the Way by Nirvana is playing while Batman is monologuing, just to drive home that this is emo Batman.
It's not just emo Batman, it's emo Bruce Wayne.
And yes, we'll definitely be talking about that.
And so Batman's essentially chased off the crime scene by the chief of police. Where he goes back home to brood in his cave for a while and try to break a cipher.
One detail that I thought was kind of cool was he has these contact lenses.
Oh, yeah.
That were like recording stuff while he was out and about as Batman. You know, I thought that was an interesting detail. That seems like a Batman thing to do.
And he also uses it so he can rewatch certain things if he has to.
And the design of the Batcave, I think, is pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, his spelunking cave. And a news story mentions Thomas and Martha Wayne's murder.
Yep, because it was the anniversary of the murder on the same night that the mayor was killed.
Wait, so his parents were killed on, like, Halloween?
Yep.
Is that why he dresses up in the costume? Wait a minute. That's weird. Okay. And we also see Andy Serkis as Alfred. And once again, this movie proves that no matter the quality, Alfred is always good. You know,
Yep.
no matter the quality. And I mean, Andy Serkis, he's not like the first person you'd pick to play Alfred, but
He does a pretty good job.
he works. You know, he's not in the movie a lot, but, you know, and he's fine as Alfred. And a lot of this movie is Batman solving puzzles. Exciting. And he finds a flash drive with pictures of the Penguin. Oh, right, yeah, the Penguin's in this movie.
It's the Penguin standing next to the former mayor of Gotham.
The former mayor, yeah, because it's kind of hard to be the current mayor when you're dead. But and Batman decides, I'm going to go see him. Now, why the Penguin is at some loud dance club is anyone's guess.
Well, he owns the place.
Why would he own a dance club? He's the fucking Penguin. He's the fucking Penguin. I don't know. And Colin Farrell, it sounded like he was doing a Robert De Niro impersonation.
It really does.
He was like, it felt like he was trying to impersonate Robert De Niro as Al Capone in The Untouchables. Like, he even sort of looks like that, too. It was kind of a weird... His performance felt a little out of place in this movie, honestly.
It does, and I think it's mostly because he's used as comic relief in most of his scenes.
Because this movie's so dour and moody, and then you have this performance in the middle of it, and you're just like, okay, that's a little strange. It kind of took me out of the movie during some parts of it.
I'll admit, I do really like a lot of the scenes the Penguin's in. I think it is just kind of fun.
I don't know if it's a bad performance or not, though. It was just weird to me. The makeup was good, I will say that. Like,
oh, the makeup is fantastic. He's just actually unrecognizable.
He doesn't look or sound at all like Colin Farrell, so I'll give him that. And yeah, while he's there, he's like trying to find this woman who's in the pictures. And this is also where we first see Selena Kyle. And because he's Batman, he decides to follow her and watch her undressing through a window.
Because I guess he's got nothing better to do.
And this again felt like something from a Hitchcock movie. You know, Rear Window or Psycho. There's that part in Psycho where he's looking through the peephole, Janet Leigh undressing. It also, yeah, it kind of makes Batman look a little perverted in this. So. And they also made Catwoman bisexual in this version, I noticed.
Yep.
Which is interesting, because she's got, like, a girlfriend there at the apartment. And she puts on the Catwoman costume and leaves on a motorcycle. There's quite a few motorcycles in this movie.
Yes. And I do have one complaint about the Catwoman costume. I'm not a fan of the mask.
I'm not either, yeah.
One. Because it's just a ski mask that's pulled only part of the way over her face.
And with, like, eye holes, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't, yeah.
It's not very creative or good.
Not very cat-like.
It feels like somebody went, oh shit, we forgot to make a mask, and had to just go grab whatever they had in their car.
Yeah, because you look at, like, the other Batman movies, Michelle Pfeiffer had that cat mask, and
yeah,
Anne Hathaway had one as well. But yeah, okay. Like, imagine if Batman didn't have his mask. I mean, that would just be wrong. And yeah, Batman follows her on a motorcycle. Eventually, he catches up to her, and they have a brief fight. very, very brief. It's over really quick. I don't know what to say here. I'm having trouble thinking of what to say about, like, see, I guess that was part of it, was just the scenes. I would just watch them and be like, okay, that happened. Like, okay.
It's mostly the Catwoman scenes, too. Because her whole motivation for breaking into this place is to steal back her partner's passport so that she can leave the country. But by the time she and Batman get back, her apartment's been ransacked and her partner is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. And this is also where we get a video message from the Riddler that he apparently posted on social media.
And this is one of those parts that makes him feel like Jigsaw.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It's like this shaky cam footage of the police chief's head inside of like this weird rat cage torture device.
Yeah, and also his voice is like pitched down.
Yeah.
And it makes this part very hard to take seriously. Like, there were whenever, like, the Riddler was like this shadowy character and you didn't see him much, I'd be like, okay, he's actually pretty creepy. But then you'd show him on like a video screen and I'd be like, this is fucking absurd. Like, what the hell? Another thing I was noticing is, like, it seems like every camera shot is like trying super hard to be dark and moody.
A little bit.
Like, everything is in the shadows. You can hardly see a thing. And also, it felt like a lot of this movie was just people talking in whispers.
Yeah.
Like, there would be parts where I'd be like, I couldn't tell what they were saying because it was, oh my god. Yeah, Batman talks to Gordon, and guess what? He has more puzzles from the Riddler. God, he is like fucking Jigsaw. Oh my lord.
I like, no joke, I was half expecting him to start a sentence with, would you like to play a game?
Would you? Yeah. There's another scene. Oh my god. And then we get a scene of Batman and Selina, and she has red hair now for some reason.
I think she's wearing a wig.
Or it's a wig. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Maybe she dyed it. I have no idea. And she goes into the nightclub, talks to Batman through an earpiece.
And Batman ends up finding that half of Gotham's police force, as well as the DA, are in the super secret underground club right underneath the other club.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Moving on. Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, the DA, who is not Harvey Dent.
I feel like they wanted to have Harvey Dent, and then they realized that might be a bit too much. Too many villains.
Well, they wouldn't have to. They wouldn't have to turn him into Two-Face in this movie.
Fair.
Because, I mean, you look at, like, the Batman animated series, they had him as an established character before he, you know, goes fucking crazy. And, yeah, he's some guy named Gil. And, yeah, she runs into Falcone. And I'm having trouble remembering what happens in some of this, honestly.
So she runs into Falcone, and it's obvious that he recognizes her. Batman tries to press her for more information, and she basically takes out the eyepiece and stops talking to him.
That's right, yeah, I remember now.
At the same time, she ends up turning down the DA's offer to take her home. So the DA, just kind of a little sad, gets into his car, where he is knocked unconscious by the Riddler waiting in the back seat.
Yeah. End scene. Although that was another scene where, again, the Riddler was kind of creepy. You know?
Yeah.
There are some scenes where he's actually an unsettling.
Now, I will say something that I'm thinking of just now. So you're the DA. of, Gotham
Well,
City.
I'm not, but he is.
You're going to this seedy underground bar run by the Penguin, one of the Penguin and Falcone, some of the biggest organized crime members, and you just drive your own car there and park right outside.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point, actually.
It's not the smartest move on his part.
No, it's not. And then we finally get a scene that takes place during the day.
It's a miracle. And it's the funeral of the mayor.
Yeah, it's a scene during the day, but it still looks gloomy as hell. Bruce Wayne, he's just, oh my god, his hair is like a mess. He looks like emo Peter Parker.
Not just that, Bruce Wayne has zero social skills.
Yeah, that too. To be fair, I mean, his social skills in, like, the other Batman movies aren't that good either. Because in the Nolan ones, he's just acting like an uptight, rich prick. Yeah. And as Michael Keaton, he's just kind of awkward and clumsy.
But in this one, he's just downright depressing.
Kind of think of it, Michael Keaton felt more like Clark Kent than Bruce Wayne
in
those movies. But yeah,
and we end up finding
Bruce
out
Wayne,
that there's
he's just depressed. He's getting mobbed by the paparazzi. Yeah. The dude, he just never looks like he's enjoying himself in this movie. The poor guy.
And we also find out that there is some sort of connection between Falcone and Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, his dad apparently saved Falcone. End scene. Oh, Bruce Wayne ends up at a church. That's not something you usually see.
And so he goes inside with everybody else to attend the mayor's funeral, when all of a sudden a car drives through the front of the church.
Yeah.
And inside is none other than the DA, who now has a bomb strapped to his neck and a cell phone taped to his wrist.
That is okay. I know we keep saying this, but the Riddler is fucking Jigsaw in this.
This one, it's super obvious, because he's like, you're gonna answer 3 riddles in 2 minutes or your head's gonna blow up.
That was literally like, yeah, something
It's just a saw trap.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, we get another message from the Riddler. And there's a note taped to his chest with a note saying to answer the phone, and guess who's on the other end of the line?
The Riddler.
And apparently his video is doing well on TikTok or Instagram or whatever fucking social media platform.
I like to imagine that he's doing an Instagram live for all of this.
I don't know what... I don't use any of them, so I couldn't tell you one from the other. And Riddler's pitched down voice kind of makes him sound like the HAL 9000 when he's being shut off.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's kind of what it sounds like. I do kind of like the saw trap, though. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it's just whenever they would show the Riddler on a video screen, I would just be like, I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. You're trying so hard to be this, like, dark, depressing movie, and then you're like, oh, he has a social media presence. Yes. Okay.
I can't wait for the next movie where the Joker's an influencer.
Oh no.
That there's totally gonna be a scene where the Joker's doing a funny dance right after executing somebody, posted on TikTok.
And yeah, there's an explosion because the bomb goes off and Batman survives, but I guess that means the DA didn't.
Yeah, there's no way his head was intact afterwards.
It kind of felt like this movie wanted to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
But they couldn't, for whatever reason. Which, honestly, maybe I would have liked it more if they'd tried pushing it over that line, but...
So I actually really liked this scene, if I'm honest, with the whole riddles. I actually did kind of like how it was structured because it was the Riddler forcing the DA to essentially confess to all of his crimes, which are, bribery and basically protecting the mob, only to then be killed anyway because he won't give up the one last piece of information that he wants out there, which is that there is a rat that the cops are protecting.
Is that why there was the cage full with rats or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess it was another one of those Batman movies where they're trying to like go, oh look, society. You know? And it just it doesn't work quite as well as The Dark Knight did from being. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, the Dark Knight is definitely better.
I mean that maybe that's not fair for me to say that, but like I mean it's very obvious that they're trying to emulate the same things that made The Dark Knight so successful, and it's just not doing it as well. You know? I will admit the bomb scene was pretty intense. I'll agree with you on that, though.
Yeah.
That was a aside from the stupid Instagram or TikTok bullshit. Like just okay, it was fine. You know, it was a good scene from a Saw movie. Batman, like, he flies down from the top of a building and gets caught on a bridge and falls. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and then he kind of just limps away.
That part felt a little too slapsticky for this type of movie.
Yeah, that one is a little out of place.
It's hard to tell with this movie, like, whether some parts are supposed to be funny or not. Like, although the impression I was getting from this movie is that most of it wasn't supposed to be funny, which, you know. But yeah, Batman's on a stakeout with Gordon. He sees Catwoman, because of course. Oh, and the Penguin, because of course.
And so Catwoman ends up discovering that her partner's body, her partner was killed, and that the Penguin and his goons were handling the body.
And it's also very dark and rainy. You can't really see a goddamn thing during a lot of this.
And then we
reminded me, okay, there was this joke you made, not on the podcast, but like, I remember one time you made this joke about them doing a movie called Batman Unseen. And the whole thing is a dark screen. And that's kind of what this movie felt like during parts of it.
Yeah, I actually watched it this time on a monitor that didn't have its brightness all the way up. This scene was a little hard to watch at first.
Yeah. And then what was it? Batman Unheard, I think, was like,
oh yeah,
if they make a
silent film
version of Batman, that would actually be pretty cool.
That would be interesting.
It'd be sort of like, you know, because Tim Burton's a huge fan of like German expressionist films. It'd be kind of like Caligari or something like that. Or hell, I think the first like depiction of Batman, it was like based on like a silent film character called like the Bat or something. But anyway, that's getting off topic. And the Joker was based on a silent film character. Again, that's getting off topic.
Yeah.
There's a car chase.
I love this car chase because we get to see the Batmobile, and for whatever reason, there's just a rocket strapped on the back of this thing.
It is a crazy car chase. Like,
and they destroy like an entire interstate with just Batman trying to chase down the Penguin. An oil truck blows up at one part that Batman jumps over. It's just nuts.
Tons of yeah, it goes on for so long too. Like, I was like, what the hell? That's one of those scenes where I like watched it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, just...
And so Batman ends up taking.
Before I watched this movie, I remember you mentioning on one of the podcasts that there was a crazy car chase in this movie, and I'm like, okay. And then I watched the movie, and I knew instantly which scene it was too, because I mean, it's like you watch it and you're like, yeah, this is a fucking crazy car chase here.
Somebody really wanted to put a Mad Max moment in the middle of their Batman movie.
It kind of does feel like Mad Max, yeah, Fury Road, which maybe that's why Zoe Kravitz is in this movie. And then we get the only line I remember from this movie, where the penguin sees Batman and Gordon, and he says, "The hell is this? Good cop, batshit cop?"
There's a couple good lines in that scene. So it's Gordon and Batman are trying to press him for information because they think he's the rat. And at one point, they pull out photos of what happened to the former police chief's head, I believe. I don't remember if it was the police chief or if it was the DA. But they're showing him, like, graphic pictures of them after they died. The penguin just goes, what are you showing me? Come on! Just the way he delivers that line is so good.
Again, it was another scene that was like thinking, like, he felt like a caricature of an Italian mobster who is just stuck in this really dreary, depressing movie, and I'm like...
Gordon and Batman are just talking about, maybe they misunderstood one of the clues that was left behind, where it mentioned El Rata Alada, and the penguin's like making fun of him because it's just awful Spanish, and he calls them the world's greatest detectives, which I thought was a pretty funny line.
I mean, they are the world's greatest detectives, right? Right? Anyway, they're in fucking Gotham. I mean, they better be. Considering, I mean, you look at how corrupt this place is. I mean, which one thing I think I read somewhere was they also took a little inspiration from Seven with this movie, and now that I think about it, I can kind of see that. I can kind of see that. They go to the old orphanage since Riddler gave them a clue. That's so nice of him, for him to just leave clues for the police and stuff, you know what I mean?
I mean, they're clues for the Batman. He's gotta play his games.
They can't possibly catch him if he just tells them where to go. And there's a video of the Wayne Foundation, which makes Gordon realize that Bruce Wayne is Riddler's next victim.
A little too late, though, because Alfred opens up a mail bomb that was addressed to Bruce.
Oh god, so he's like the fucking Unabomber. Jesus.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
I just realized that, too. I was like, oh my... It's like they're trying to make the Riddler every single serial killer at once. Like, what's next? Is he gonna order some fava beans with a nice Chianti?
That would have been interesting. Cannibal Riddler.
Cannibal Riddler. Yeah. And yeah, Batman, he doesn't arrive in time to stop the bomb. And after this, he's like spray painting a bunch of messages on the floor.
Yeah, he's trying to piece together everything that the Riddler sent him.
Next scene. That's kind of just what this movie feels like. It feels like there's just a bunch of scenes, and I don't know what comment to add to them, you know? Just like... Oh, and Catwoman's in this movie, remember?
we have to get another scene including her real quick.
And just like that, like clockwork, my cat is back down in the basement.
Yeah, no, at this moment, my cat just jumped up onto my computer. Hi, Pixie, don't sit there.
Don't sit there.
Don't sit there. Move over a little bit.
For me, it's more of don't bump that, please.
She's like sitting right on my headphone wire.
Nice. Oh, and he's sneezing too. Nice. Apparently Falcone is Selena Kyle's father? Question mark. No, that's not true. That's impossible. I've been watching too many Star Wars videos. And her mother was murdered.
Presumably by Falcone himself.
Oh, you don't say? And they also, she kisses Batman despite them having no romantic chemistry at all up to this point. Unless, did you pick up on any hints before this? Because I certainly didn't.
I mean, Catwoman kind of tried to flirt with him a little bit in an earlier scene, but that's just kind of Catwoman.
Okay.
Batman didn't really respond at all.
I guess he doesn't really respond to that kiss either. So, okay, what? Don't like sand. And Riddler posts a video about how awful the Wayne family is.
Yep, which makes Bruce very upset.
Yeah, there's scandals or whatever. In this movie, it really seems to be trying to have this rich people are horrible message during parts of it. Because they're like, oh, Batman's a billionaire, or whatever. I don't know. Or Bruce Wayne, I guess. I don't know. Next scene. I just don't know what else to add here. It's a 3-hour movie, and I don't feel like...
Yeah, it definitely could have been cut down a bit.
Yes, definitely. Bruce Wayne meets Falcone. And I mentioned how emo Bruce Wayne's hair looks in this.
And Bruce is basically trying to ask him if Thomas and Falcone were connected. Falcone says yes. This makes Bruce mad, so he immediately runs to Alfred, still bedridden in the hospital, to yell at him, basically.
Yeah. It was really distracting me, too, because every time Alfred spoke, I just thought of Caesar or Snoke. I thought it'd be funny if he, like, said to Bruce, "You're just a child in a mask." He's visiting Alfred in the hospital. He's acting emo. Yep. God damn it. All this is making me think of is Kylo Ren and Snoke. God damn it. Oh my god. Bruce Wayne kind of is Kylo Ren in this, now that I think about it. And yeah, Alfred's like trying to reassure Bruce by saying that his father was a good man.
Yeah.
Again, it's Alfred trying to be reassuring, you know. He doesn't go on as many tangents in this as Michael Caine tended to. Because it seemed like every other time we'd mention Michael Caine, it'd be like,
oh yeah, he's got another story to tell.
And then Alfred tells a story. Once there was this bandit in Burma, or whatever. And I just was like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't care what's going on in this. It's just, oh, look how corrupt and miserable everything is. You know, it's like they set out to make the most cynical Batman movie ever. And, you know, they succeeded. I mean, unless you think Batman Forever is more cynical, but okay. I guess Batman Forever is more cynical as a product.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so, Selena Kyle...
and then we get a scene of... That's really how this movie flows, isn't it?
Yeah. At this part especially, it just jumps back into the Selena Kyle stuff.
Yeah. She tries shooting Falcone.
It doesn't work, so Batman has to come in and save her, and then escorts Falcone out.
This is another scene where the lighting made it really hard to see what was going on.
Yeah. And it's at this point...
My best guess as to what happened during this scene is Batman killed some guys.
And it's at this point where Catwoman actually just becomes fully irrelevant to the story. She just drops out until, like, the end of the movie, basically.
Oh, I was about to say, I don't remember what she does after this.
She's in one more action scene for, like, 2 minutes, and that's it.
Okay. And yeah, Batman knocks out Falcone and has him arrested. and some guy shoots him. Oh, and conveniently, some police guys find the Riddler in a bar and arrest him.
Yep. So he's in a cafe, and of course they have the trailer shot in there where they show his the drink he got, which has a question mark in it.
Which I will admit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a good shot. That definitely feels like something the Riddler would do. And he's not dressed as the Riddler. He's just in like normal.
He just looks like Paul Dano without a beard.
He just looks like Paul Dano. Yeah, exactly. And Batman interrogates Paul Dano in a jail cell. And apparently he knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Yep, he keeps just saying like Bruce in like a really low, slow, drawn out form, just to kind of taunt him. But it's revealed that he thought Batman would be on his side this whole time. And when Batman isn't, it leads to him freaking out a little bit.
Yeah. Because again, he's like mad that when Thomas Wayne ran for mayor and died, all they talked about was the poor orphan kid Bruce Wayne, who's a billionaire, and he was really mad about this. I mean, wow, what a motivation right there. Because he was an orphan, he grew up in an orphanage, but he didn't have the same money that Bruce Wayne had, so I'm a bit jealous of that. So come on, would you come up with a little better motivation for... I will admit, though, this is one of the better scenes of the movie.
It's still, even though Riddler is in the jail, he still feels very creepy and still very much like a threat.
He's very unsettling in this scene. The tension does get a little ruined when Paul Dano just starts screaming. It becomes a little kind of ridiculous there, or when he's singing. But before that, it's actually kind of a creepy scene because he's like messing with him psychologically. And that's kind of interesting. So he's kind of like Hannibal Lecter a little bit. We keep mentioning it. So how many more serial killers are we going to mention in this podcast?
Quick, we got to find the John Wayne Gacy connection.
Or Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy.
Well, Jeffrey Dahmer, he's wearing glasses. That one's easy.
He kind of looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, he really does. That miniseries they did on Netflix that could have cast Paul Dano as Jeffrey Dahmer. And it would have fit. John Wayne Gacy, oh shit. Closest I can think to that is that Joker cameo at the end, but...
That's pretty, yeah. That's probably the closest we'll get with that one.
I don't even know where we're gonna find a Ted Bundy fucking connection. I mean, that was one of the scenes that kind of turned me around a bit on Paul Dano's portrayal of the Riddler, because I was like, okay, that scene actually is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
When I watched it. Yeah. But then, for fuck's sake, we see the Riddler on 4chan.
So they never call it 4chan, but it's very, very clearly supposed to be a 4chan user.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Now, I will say, they kind of muddied the water a little bit with the Riddler's backstory. I think with a little bit of tweaking, they probably could have done this better. So I think what they were trying to show is that the Riddler grew up in bad circumstances, and he went online to escape and became radicalized. It's not shown very well in this movie. He became an
incel or whatever the fuck. Just some shit like that.
I think if they would have shown it better, this would have felt a little less weird. But what ends up happening is they're just like, hey guys, he's on 4chan. And then we get a video of the Riddler dressed up in the full costume, just talking like normal to like a couple hundred people online, just like, hey guys, thank you very much. The tips on the detonators were very, very useful.
It's so stupid. And apparently he's like set up bombs around the city and they go off.
He's going to flood the city, basically.
there's a bunch of people in Riddler costumes, and they have guns.
Yep, it's the other 4chan users.
Batman versus 4chan users. I wonder who wins that one. For fuck's sake. Yeah, of course, Batman's like fighting. I thought that part was kind of stupid too, if I'm being honest. I will say though, the stuff with the city flooding is pretty good. Like
Yeah.
it's a pretty good spectacle going on there. You know, it like actually looks like it's flooding and stuff. You know, okay, that's nice.
And I do enjoy this fight scene too, when Batman and Catwoman have to try to take down the multiple like Riddler followers that are in the city hall trying to assassinate the new mayor.
Something, yeah. I just kind of gave up on writing the plot points at this point. I think I was just like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. He saves the people from the flood and then leads them out.
And then it tries to end on a bit more of a hopeful note, showing Batman try to help people get out of the flooded areas, saving people.
I liked that part actually, where he's like saving them, and he's like leading them out with torch in hand. That was a good part. I thought that was a good part. And the camera shot's good too, and the music during that part. He felt like Batman during that scene. Interesting. And I'm trying to remember what else. Yeah, we get a scene of, and then we get a scene of Riddler. He's in Arkham Asylum.
Just kind of pouting, making some noises.
And guess who's in the cell next to him?
None other than the Joker, with a severely mangled face.
I thought you were going to say John Wayne Gacy, but okay. And they just both start laughing, basically.
Yeah.
Wait, so in both Batman Forever and the Batman, the Riddler ends up in Arkham Asylum at the end. Yeah. Just laughing maniacally, I guess. Although in this one, he's not like saying, I'm Batman.
Yeah, he still has a little bit of his sanity left over.
Not much, but I guess he does have it. Was there anything else that happened after that? I didn't even...
At the very end, Catwoman leaves to go to another city called Bloodhaven. And Batman basically says he's going to stay here and defend Gotham.
If they called the next one Batman 2, The Batman 2 Bloodhaven, that'd be a good title.
Yeah.
I guess that's it for the recap, because I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, that's the movie basically just ends after that part, so
this was kind of a disjointed podcast here. Okay, I guess getting to my final thoughts. So we've criticized some of the other Batman movies for being really silly, namely Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, you know. Be like, but we won't get into that though. I mean, we did podcasts on them already, but
yeah,
I feel like this movie kind of went to the other extreme.
It is much darker in tone than a lot of them.
It felt like it like tried too hard to be serious. There's like almost no humor to it or charm, and I'm fine with Batman being serious or gritty. I mean, hell, my favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight. I mean, that's pretty serious and pretty gritty, but even that one, there was some humor to it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there needs to be kind of a balance with the tone, and this one just seemed kind of like, oh, serious, you know, which, again, that's why I like the Tim Burton ones, because I thought those ones, they found a good balance between the darker Batman and the sillier Batman.
Yeah.
Dour, and I felt like some of the characters were underdeveloped and the story was slow. I feel like this would have been I would have liked it better if the writing and the editing was better. That probably would have helped, because it is so slow. it is so slow to watch. And I don't know. I guess I just like more action and humor in my Batman movie. But anyway, you can give your thoughts on
Yeah,
it.
so for me, it's very obviously not a perfect movie, and it's not my favorite Batman movie.
And again,
Catwoman's
I'm
pretty.
saying this is way better than the complete mockery that was the DCU Batman.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
yeah. You know, Catwoman wasn't handled the best. It was a little disjointed at parts, and it could have been. Uh, it could have been condensed a lot, in my opinion. But I I do really still like this movie. I like a lot of the ideas that it has. I love the visual design of Gotham. I love the score. Uh I feel like Robert Pattinson, even though he's not a good Bruce Wayne, I feel like he's a pretty good Batman.
Yeah, he's
And
basically emo Bruce Wayne.
yeah. And I am actually very interested to see where they go with this in the future.
I will admit, because I thought Pattinson was good, I am curious about the sequel when they eventually do that. Like, because who knows? Maybe I'll like the sequel more when I watch that.
I know one of my friends was talking about how they think in the next one he's going to start becoming a bit more Bruce Wayne-y. So he'll try to disguise the fact that he's Batman a bit more by becoming an upstanding billionaire citizen, the playboy philanthropist that everybody knows.
Yeah, kind of like what they did in the Nolan films.
Yeah. And they kind of built it up a little bit. The lady running for mayor at one point asking him if he's going to do any philanthropic work.
Yeah, whatever.
And so I personally just really enjoy this movie.
And again, I'm glad you like it. I always feel bad when we watch a movie for this podcast and you just end up fucking hating it. Just like with Batman Forever or some of the alien stuff. But and maybe part of it is just this is the first installment. Maybe they're still finding their footing.
Yeah.
At this point.
Because, again, Batman Begins wasn't perfect either. But then they followed it up with The Dark Knight.
I thought Batman Begins was better than this, though, but if it is obvious. But I will agree with you, it wasn't as good as The Dark Knight. At the very least, I will say this movie was able to make Robert Pattinson into a good Batman, which...
Yeah.
is
impressive.
I didn't really think that was possible, but, I mean... credit where it's due. His Bruce Wayne, on the other hand, again, I thought he was too emo.
Yeah.
He makes Kylo Ren look like Christopher Robin. And the lighting's too dark. There were some scenes I could barely tell what was going on. Which, I mean, I get it. It's Batman. He's in the shadows and stuff. But still, like, there was never a point when I was watching the Nolan films or the Tim Burton films or even the Joel Schumacher ones where I was like, I can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
It never happened, At least that I can think of off the top of my head. Cinematography. I thought cinematography was good.
Yeah.
Performances, for the most part, I would say were good. Again, it kind of just feels like a setup for a Batman movie. Rather than just its own movie. It just felt like, there's just so much exposition trying to, like, set things up and stuff. And again, the characters didn't feel fully there, really. And it's a 3-hour movie, and it feels it. It really does.
Yeah.
I'll be
it is a very long movie.
I don't like criticizing movies for being too long. I really don't, even though it seems to happen a lot. But there are tons of movies I really like that are really long.
It just happens that a lot of these movies that are long just aren't well paced.
It feels like it's just being long just so it can say, I'm the longest and darkest Batman movie.
I mean, like, could you imagine if there was a movie out there with, like, Evil Dead 2 levels of pacing that was 3 hours long?
No, probably not. It'd be really hard to keep that kind of pacing. The closest I can think is Mad Max Fury Road, which is like 2 hours, but it has insane pacing. And I will say this, they did at least try to do something new with the Riddler in this one. Because I
Yeah.
look at most of those other depictions, it's really, the Riddler is kind of a one-note
Yeah.
character. He's just this guy who's like, he's always leaving puzzles for the Batman, like, and there are scenes where he is unsettling in this movie.
Very unsettling.
But at the end of the day, I'm here to see a Batman movie, not a not as good version of Zodiac. And making him a fucking 4chan user, I'm sorry. I can't get
Again,
past
that's
that.
something that could have been pulled off a little better than it was.
Oh, you think so? And he's having his followers attack Batman at the end. I'm sorry, that was just stupid. The costume, I didn't like the costume the first time I saw this movie, but it did grow on me.
It definitely works for that Zodiac connection.
It looks a lot like the Zodiac Killer, yeah. I think part of it was just, I'm a bit nitpicky, but the shade of green they chose, I think that was part of it. It's like pea green. I mean, just... But yeah, whereas I'm more used to the Riddler having really bright green colors as his costume, so maybe where Jim Carrey. I mean, say what you want about Jim Carrey, but those costumes are fucking great. So yeah, I'm a little mixed on this version of the Riddler. And his motivations, I don't know. His motivations weren't like, oh, he's mad at Bruce for being rich.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, just... You can do better than that for a fucking Batman movie. As for the other cast members, they're just kind of there for me. I mean, aside from Batman and the Riddler, the other characters just feel kind of there.
I'd agree for the most part, but I think Gordon does pretty good. I think Gordon's a pretty good character. This, and I enjoyed watching the Penguin be the Penguin.
Okay, that's fair enough. But it was a 3-hour movie, and the fact that most of the characters were underdeveloped, I'm like, well, you didn't utilize that runtime, I guess.
No.
Catwoman is very shoehorned into this movie. I mean, granted, most Batman movies I've seen that have Catwoman in them, she feels shoehorned in. But this one especially, just, you can literally edit all of her scenes out of this movie, and the plot does not change. I mean, the performance, Zoe Kravitz, she's okay. I mean, she's all right, not the definitive, like, all it does is just remind me of how good Michelle Pfeiffer was in Batman Returns, because that's a really very memorable performance right there. And you mentioned the mask, again, her mask isn't anything special. Yeah. It's just a burglar mask. Just a burglar mask with eye holes in it. I'll agree with you, Jeffrey Wright, he was good in it. He wasn't bad. I mean, he's Jeffrey Wright, but he's just not given a lot to do.
Yeah.
I don't think. He's not given a lot to do. Granted, Gary Oldman, he wasn't given a ton to do in Batman Begins. I mean, and you compare it to Pat Hingle, he's really underused in the older Batman movies.
Again, I feel like it's another case like with the Dark Knight trilogy where the first movie is trying to get the footing.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of have to wait for the next one to see how well it uses that footing.
Again, though, Batman Begins was the first Batman movie I ever saw. And I watched it, and I thought it developed the characters fine. It's like shorter than this movie.
Yeah,
I think, and I think it develops the characters and the story better than this movie does. So, John Turturro, he's there. Usually I like him in movies, but he's just kind of there. I mean, he's not bad. He's not It felt like that. That was what a lot of this movie felt like. It just felt like things just existed in this movie.
Especially when they had to do with Catwoman and her story, they were kind of just shoehorned in a little bit. But...
It was just a case of this movie. It's just there, like, for me. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's just there, if that makes any sense. Colin Farrell, the makeup's good. The performance I thought was kind of ridiculous and out of place. Although, to be fair, it is a more comic accurate depiction of the Penguin than Danny DeVito was. Because that's basically the Penguin. He's like a mafia guy, you know. Except in this, he felt more like just some character that would be in, like, Goodfellas or The Godfather or something. Or, hell, I mentioned The Untouchables earlier. He's basically doing his best imitation of Robert De Niro in The Untouchables. You know?
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it was a bad performance, but it just was out of place in this for me.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, though. I think he was fun to watch as the Penguin.
He did have some.
Just a fun character.
But yeah, it was weird. Although I will be honest, Danny DeVito was more entertaining. I mean, in Batman Returns. Even though it's like maybe not a fair comparison, but I'll go back to Batman Returns more in this one for the Penguin. But even though, again, it's not a comic accurate version of the Penguin, because because the Penguin, he's like supposed to be this really classy, like, gentleman type, and Danny DeVito, he's like
he's a sewer goblin.
He's got like he's like so gross in that movie. He's like always like covered in, like, I don't even know, like, just he's always like munching on like a fish or something, or like biting people's noses. Although while I was watching this and thinking about it more, one thing I was realizing, I feel like the people that like this movie, I feel like they're people who are, like, super into Batman comics. They're probably the people that like this one more. Because, again, I should point out, I'm not a Batman expert at all. I don't know if you are, but
I'm on the fringe. I know a lot about Batman because I watched a lot of the cartoon.
Okay. Like, but I've, like, not read, like, too many I've read a few Batman comics. I know for a fact I've read The Killing Joke, but I couldn't really name any of the other ones I've read. But basically, when I watch a Batman movie, I don't watch it for an accurate depiction of the character. You know, I'm more there for, I want a good story, you know, acting, writing. If it's accurate to the source material, I wouldn't know. I mean, at least based on what I know. And I will say this movie has good acting.
Yeah. I feel like everyone does pretty well with their performances.
As for the story and writing, I don't know. I found it a bit lacking. Again, that's just me. I'm in the minority on this one. I know that, you know, just based on, like, reviews I've seen and stuff. If I was gonna rank Robert Pattinson compared to the other Batman actors, I will say I do prefer Christian Bale and Michael Keaton.
Yep.
But again, this could change if they're, you know, based on, like, the next few movies. It could change. But I do think he's better than Val Kilmer, Ben Affleck, and George Clooney. You know?
Yep, I think I'd agree with that. And then if we're factoring in Kevin Conroy, who unfortunately passed away a couple days ago.
Yeah, he was a good Batman.
Yeah, I still think he's probably my favorite because, again, I'm very biased towards that cartoon.
I'd have to go back and watch more of it to come to that conclusion. I'd probably put him... maybe slightly above Pattinson. I'll do that for right now, just slightly above him, just because there's more to go off of with him because he was Batman for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Whereas Pattinson, he's only done one movie, But again, Pattinson, I definitely think is better than Val Kilmer, Ben Affleck, and George Clooney.
Yeah, I would do Conroy first, then Bale, then Keaton, and then Pattinson. And then I don't remember enough about Clooney or Kilmer to rank those.
Val Kilmer, okay, I just rewatched part of Batman Forever, but I watched enough of it to know that Val Kilmer is a better Batman than George Clooney.
I will trust you on that one. I don't want to rewatch either of those.
One thing I realized whenever we did the rankings of the Batman actors, we
Yeah.
always forget to include Adam West in there.
Oh, that's right. I haven't actually really watched any of his Batman stuff.
I've actually seen several episodes of it. And the movie. I've seen the movie as well.
Does Mermaid Man count?
Mermaid Man. That is kind of a parody of that.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where I would put Adam West. Cause
he's a very different Batman than all of the other ones.
we should probably get to the trivia now.
Yeah.
I was eating dinner, so yeah, just okay. Back to the trivia. Zoe, we mentioned this earlier, but Zoe Kravitz also played Catwoman in the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, that was something I was not expecting.
I was just reading through her filmography, and I was like, wait, are you serious? I think that's also the one where they got Billy D. Williams to do Two-Face, if I remember right.
Yeah. I think they did, yeah.
They had him playing the Lego Two-Face, yeah, which such a missed opportunity not having him in Batman Forever. Lando as Two-Face. Ben Affleck was not the Doc, not that Affleck. Ben Affleck was originally signed on to direct and play Batman.
Direct, really?
Which I do remember hearing about this because they were like, this was in the development process. They were like going, okay. Because again, there was the DCU stuff, obviously. So they're like going, oh, let's have him direct and star in a Batman movie.
That would have been interesting to see how that would have turned out.
Deathstroke and Batgirl were supposed to be in this version.
Huh.
Yeah, but he was supposed to be in the movie. It was supposed to be more of an action-packed James Bondian approach. Okay, that would have been very interesting for Batman. Huh. That does kind of make sense, though, because he does have a lot of gadgets and, like, a car that does stuff, so that's kind of James Bond,
I wonder if it would have relied a little bit more on the Bruce Wayne side of things, too.
I mean, James Bond isn't a philanthropist, as far as I can recall. He basically just spends his money to go on, like, vacation, essentially. He later said that he left the project because he hadn't enjoyed the production of Justice League. Oh, the poor guy.
Yeah.
Reeves took inspiration for this movie from Alfred Hitchcock.
Really?
Definitely see.
Yeah.
Finished movie. I kept mentioning Rear Window.
Yeah.
And Psycho. To Catch a Thief, there's kind of parallels there. 70s crime films like Chinatown and Taxi Driver. Which I can... Yeah, I can kind of see that.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. More so Chinatown, just because of the noir feel. And Batman Year One. among other things. Other directors who were considered. We got Matt Ross.
What's he done?
He did this movie called Captain Fantastic, which was a movie Viggo Mortensen was in. It's a movie I really like, actually, believe it or not. But it's like an indie film. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting that you would get this guy to direct a Batman movie.
That's interesting. He was a story consultant on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I've actually never watched that show. I've seen clips, but I haven't watched. But I mean, Captain Fantastic, it's a great movie, but it's just, I don't watch that and go, Batman, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Ridley Scott.
Oh! That would be weird.
This is not Ridley Scott in his prime either.
No.
This is after he'd done those horrible Alien prequels. And oh fuck, I don't even remember. Like, what was the movie he made like around that scene? I can't even remember. The Last Duel and House of Gucci.
Oh, he did House of Gucci?
Yeah, I forgot.
Weird.
About that. I have actually seen that. It's not that great of a movie. The accents in that movie are so off. Like, just
yeah, it sounds weird.
I remember reading somewhere that somebody said Jared Leto should have been cast in the Mario movie based on his performance in that. And I was like,
that's pretty good.
That makes sense because he does sound kind of like Mario. Last Duel I haven't seen. I forgot about All the Money in the World. And The Martian, so he can still make good movies, but there's also just shit in here. Like The Counselor, God, that was horrible. Like, screenplay by Cormac McCarthy, apparently. And that movie makes no goddamn sense. Or Exodus, Gods and Kings, that's a terrible movie, but yeah.
I haven't watched that either.
It's not good. Definitely skip those two in particular. Gavin O'Connor, which he directed Warrior.
Oh.
And The Accountant.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot of his stuff really says Batman.
Yeah. George Miller.
Oh!
Which there's at least one scene in this movie that feels like George Miller.
Yep, we talked about that a little bit.
That would have been an insane movie.
I think I would still like to see a George Miller Batman movie.
The Riddler would have basically just been Immortan Joe. Or Toe Cutter. Gosh, Toe Cutter.
Or whoever the bad guy was in Happy Feet.
Happy Feet? I don't remember if there was a... I guess Humanity was the bad guys in Happy Feet. Gosh. I remember as a kid, that movie, like, just freaked me out, actually. There was, like, a point in that movie, like, stopped being about singing penguins, and now it's, like, really depressing and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the hell? Fuck, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Denis Villeneuve?
Villanova?
He directed Dune, the new one.
Oh, okay, that guy.
Blade Runner 2049. Which, if he'd done this, I'd have been very interested if he'd done this, because I've actually liked some of his movies quite a lot. It would have been very interesting seeing his take on Batman.
Yeah.
And, this is a familiar name. If you remember the Evil Dead remake, Fede Alvarez.
Oh.
Which again, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right or not.
I'm not sure if he would have been the right choice for the Batman movie.
I mean, based on the Evil Dead remake, he's great at doing, like, reimaginings, right?
Yeah.
Reeves agreed to do the movie if he was given creative control over it. Although, due to studio mandates, he was forced to make the film PG-13. We can't have an R-rated Batman.
It wouldn't sell as many tickets.
Wouldn't get as many toys either.
Well, no, that does not stop toy makers, and you know that. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I was being facetious. I was thinking of, like, Aliens, Rambo, and, like, RoboCop in particular. All the, like, R-rated action movies from the 80s, they seem to have toy lines. Terminator. I mean...
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Reeves based his interpretation of Batman/Bruce Wayne on, among other things, Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I remember reading that before it came out, and I was like, that's an interesting approach.
Which makes sense, because he's super fucking emo in that movie. And that's why that song is in that movie, too. Because, like,
yeah.
The Nirvana song. And apparently that song, like, inspired the characterization of both the Riddler and Bruce Wayne in this movie. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's another one of those, the good guy and the bad guy, they're two sides to the same coin or something. But
And usually you see that done with Joker and Batman, not Riddler and the Batman.
You complete me. Yeah. Oh, and Michael Corleone from the Godfather trilogy. That's... What, because he's a rich, powerful dude? I don't know. Like, that doesn't... I can't think of too many parallels between the two, but I guess he takes over the family business. I don't know. But yeah, those are some interesting references.
Yeah.
He based his interpretation of the Riddler on the Zodiac Killer. I mean...
Which is pretty obvious when you watch it. He even starts one of the things with, "This is the Riddler speaking."
This is the Riddler speaking.
And that's how Zodiac signed it, or started his letters.
Exactly, yeah. I was also kind of thinking of Jack the Ripper, how he's, like, taunting him in, like, his, like, notes and stuff, yeah. Which the Zodiac Killer also did that as well as Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
What? What do you mean, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys? That's an inspiration for the Riddler?
I don't know. Although apparently Paul Dano played Brian Wilson in a movie, so...
Huh.
Yeah. A movie I haven't seen. I've seen several Paul Dano movies, and that's not one of them. So I never thought when watching There Will Be Blood that, oh yeah, this guy, he's going to play a Batman villain.
He's gonna play the Riddler.
And Kurt Cobain was also a inspiration for the Riddler, which, how the fuck did Kurt Cobain inspire both the hero and the villain of this movie? I mean, that's just...
It's kind of impressive.
That's weird. Other actors considered to play Batman/Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
Nicholas Hoult. Oh, he was in Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, was he the,
I don't remember who he plays in that. Some guy named Knox.
Was he the guy that, ended up joining Max's side?
I don't know.
Yep, it's him. He's one of the main characters.
It's look, I've seen Mad Max Fury Road once, and that was like 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I guess, but yeah. I should watch it again, though. Actually, it's a good movie.
He's doing the voice of John Arbuckle in an upcoming Garfield cartoon.
Wow. John Arbuckle.
He's also playing Renfield.
Renfield? Yeah, the Renfield movie. I forgot doing it.
He played J.R.R. Tolkien.
Apparently, yeah.
This is the strangest filmography I've seen in a while.
He was in a movie called Collide, which is horrible. Army Hammer, he was considered. Which he was in The Lone Ranger. As the Lone Ranger.
It's interesting. They seem to pick these Batman actors from pools of people you wouldn't expect to be Batman.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, because Michael Keaton, he's not like
Yeah.
a person you'd expect. I mean, honestly,
Weirdly enough,
Bale, he seemed like an obvious choice. I mean, just going off of like American Psycho.
I was about to say, George Clooney sounds like one that should be an obvious choice, but sadly was not a good, did not turn a good performance.
You'd think he would be a perfect Batman, but no, he ended up being a perfect Danny Ocean, not a perfect Bruce Wayne. Oh, and he was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh.
Army Hammer. He played the Russian guy.
Oh.
And he was in J. Edgar. Everyone's favorite Leo DiCaprio movie. And Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Alright, what's he done? Kick-Ass.
2014 Godzilla film, I know that. Which, when you watch that movie, and whenever he's on screen, you're wishing, I wish they just kept Bryan Cranston around in this instead, because his character was so much better. He played John Lennon in Nowhere Boy, huh?
Huh.
Didn't even know he looked like John Lennon.
He played Charlie Chaplin.
Which movie was that? Wait a minute.
Shanghai Nights!
What? Are you kidding? Wait a second. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's one of his earliest credits. Is Charlie Chaplin in Shanghai Nights. I didn't know Charlie Chaplin was a character in this.
I've never seen Shanghai Nights, so I didn't. I've seen Shanghai Noon.
Yeah. Apparently Charlie Chaplin's like a main character too.
What? Wow. As is Arthur Conan Doyle, apparently. And Jack the Ripper and Queen Victoria. Wait a second, I need to see this at some point.
I don't remember Shanghai Noon having like any famous people in the movie.
Probably because you didn't know who those famous people were yet when you saw it. That was hilarious. I might have to watch that now just because of that. That sounds so weird. And that's somehow the sequel to Shanghai Noon.
That's fantastic.
He was in Nocturnal Animals, which that also has Army Hammer in it. So two of the actors considered to play Batman were in that. Apparently. That's so weird. Oh, and he's gonna be in the Kraven the Hunter movie.
Ooh.
As Kraven the Hunter. Gosh, these people have such weird filmographies. Yeah. Then again, so does Robert Pattinson. So, I mean,
yeah.
During Pattinson's screen test, he wore Val Kilmer's Batman costume from Batman Forever, since it was the only existing one that fit him.
Huh.
Isn't he like a really tall dude?
I have no idea. 6'1".
Yeah, he's a tall dude, yeah. And yeah, like with Michael Keaton, there was a huge backlash to the casting of Batman in this. Which is understandable. I mean,
Yeah.
Because you look at both those actors before they played Batman, and you're like, what the hell is this? They cast fucking Beetlejuice and Mr. Mom to play Batman, or they cast Edward Cullen from Twilight to play Batman, or Cedric Diggory to play
It is a lot of they feel like strange choices at the time for sure.
Which is why it's so surprising that they actually worked.
Yeah.
Because Michael Keaton, I actually think, was a really good Batman. I mean, he's kind of a weird Bruce Wayne, though.
Yeah.
Especially, I love that scene where he's like, "You want to get nuts? Come on,
let's get nuts."
Gosh,
He just kind of loses it for a second there.
he almost turns into like Jim Carrey during that part. Yeah. Jonah Hill was considered to play the Penguin or the Riddler, but dropped out.
No. Neither of them, no.
I take it you're not a huge Jonah Hill fan in that case.
He's okay, but like in what universe is he the Penguin?
No, I can't think of any. In what universe is he the Riddler?
Yeah, especially this Riddler.
Ana de Armas was considered to play Catwoman.
Okay.
Which, honestly, I would have liked to have seen that. That would have been a much better Catwoman than in this movie. If we're just going off her performance in No Time to Die, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson revealed while auditioning for the role, he sneakily took a selfie in the Batsuit as a memento, just in case it didn't work out.
I mean, yeah, that's a moment that you gotta save forever if you got to put on the Batman suit.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. This is the first version of Batman to directly address the black eye makeup under the cowl. That is a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Because the only other time I can remember even seeing it was in Batman Returns. Because I noticed there was something off, like, because he takes the mask off and then he doesn't have the black eye makeup. So
Yeah.
it's like a continuity error there. But yeah, aside from that, I can't even remember them showing that. Not even in the Nolan films. Matt Reeves said, I just love the idea of taking off the mask, and under that, there's the sweating and the dripping and the whole theatricality of becoming this character. Well, it's not so much he becomes this character in that he just is this character, because even when he's playing Bruce Wayne, he's like...
Yeah. It would not surprise me if this Bruce Wayne just wore eyeliner like that for the fun of it.
He's emo Batman. I mean, it's just... so probably he's like fucking My Chemical Romance or something. Robert Pattinson's audition/screen test took place while he was in rehearsals for shooting Tenet in Los Angeles in May 2019. Pattinson had to lie to Christopher Nolan about it, but Nolan, who was no stranger to Batman and Warner Brothers, obviously, immediately figured it out. Pattinson said, I said I had a family emergency, and as soon as I said it, he goes, you're doing the Batman audition, aren't you? When Pattinson was told that he won the role of Batman a day before principal photography for Tenet began, he was surprised that Nolan also knew and congratulated him, although Pattinson hadn't told anybody about it yet. Colin Farrell stated that he went to Starbucks to try out his prosthetics and makeup for the Penguin for the first time.
I bet nobody recognized him.
And yeah, nobody recognized him.
Yeah.
Although apparently he got a couple of stares from people. I mean, I can see why.
Yeah. Again, that is very, very good makeup.
It really is, yeah, I mean... Because, I mean, you look at, like, Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I mean, you can still tell it's Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
You know, although it is good makeup job though. But like with that, I mean, you're just like, that could be anybody under there. You know, for all we know,
it's just completely transforms how he looks.
For all we know, it was just Robert De Niro under all that makeup. He just sounds like Robert De Niro during parts of that movie. Colin Farrell revealed his son was utterly horrified at the sight of his transformation into Penguin during production.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very fair.
When my kid saw me for the first time, he was utterly horrified. I have it on iPhone. So he planned that reaction out, I guess. Robert Pattinson apparently improvised the line, "I'm vengeance."
Huh.
Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson received the same advice from the predecessors of their roles, Michelle Pfeiffer and Christian Bale respectively. Make sure you can go to the bathroom while in costume. This must be really long shoots then in that case. Damn.
Yeah. Plus, I imagine that it would take a while to get all of that off anyway.
In Wayne Manor, there is a pedestal with a William Shakespeare bust on top. This is a reference to the original Batman series, the Adam West one, where a similar Shakespeare bust was used as a device to trigger the opening to the Batcave.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Reeves about the Batmobile. I liked the idea of the car itself as a horror figure, making an animalistic appearance to really scare the hell out of the people Batman's pursuing.
I think it worked.
There is absolutely a horror genre aspect to this movie. I hadn't thought of that, Okay, so I think that'll do for trivia.
So that was The Batman. And I think with that, we've gone through all of the live-action Batman-centered movies since Keaton's.
Yes. Because I was about to say, we haven't done the Adam West one, or like...
Nope.
There's like some from like... If you count like film serials, yeah.
Yeah.
None of the animated ones. I feel like if we're gonna do another Batman movie, it'll probably be like one of the animated ones, like
yeah,
Under the Red Hood or
The Mask of the Phantasm.
A lot of people, there's people that say that's the best Batman movie, which I'm like, I mean,
I haven't watched that one in a while, so I don't quite remember.
I don't remember liking it as much as the animated series. That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, it was good, but I don't know. When I watched it, I was like, I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, best Batman movie ever. You know, just like. But as for what we're doing on the next podcast, we'll have to figure that out.
Yes, it'll be a mystery for everybody.
Well, until we upload it, you know, that does happen sometimes, though. Like,
Anyway, play the Andy Griffith.
Yep. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.